And this comes as a big win because this is directly an order passed by the UK Home Secretary, which has allowed Sanjay Bhandari to be extradited. He has about 14 days time to appeal, and he will have to appeal in a UK court. So he has that 14-day period. But just to give you a little bit about a backgrounder on Sanjay Bhandari, he's a very close aide of Robert Vadra, and he has even exchanged mails about a London home of Robert Vadra, details of which were exposed on Republic in the course of the last few years. And even the Enforcement Directorate had gone on to cite Republic TV's reports from London on Sanjay Bhandari. We tracked him down, something that even Sanjay Bhandari, Robert Vadra's aide, never expected. We went to his doorstep, we stung him, we tried to get him on record. And all of that is a matter of record now. The visuals on your screen, a man who's elusive, who's never seen before, a part of many arms deals as per reports and investigative agencies, has been, according to some, an arms dealer as well. And he has the details of the entire case around Robert Vadra. Robert Vadra was directly in touch with him. And essentially, the focus has always been on how Sanjay Bhandari and why Sanjay Bhandari was in touch with Robert Vadra, and why he was in touch with Robert Vadra. Why was he discussing about a London home? Why was he willing to pay for some of the changes and coordinating the changes? Was that home some sort of a payback? Was that home some sort of a receipt of a corrupt deal? Now, these are some aspects that will be investigated, but certainly I think once this happens, the focus will be on Robert Vadra. The focus has always been on Robert Vadra, on what his role was. There are several deals that are under the scanner, namely the Pilatus deal, etc. Deals under the UPA government, deals where the role of such shady arms dealers has come directly under question, especially under the UPA regime. So we are keeping a close watch. It's a big win for the government because another fugitive. London was a great escape route, and it appears now that they will have no choice but to be dragged back to India.
Niranjan, for the moment, thank you. We head into a break right now. On the other side, it's the second big day of the BJP's National Executive Meeting. The Prime Minister expected to speak shortly.
We questioned Christian Michel.
And that is Christian Michel. First visuals on your scene. Christian, would you give facts to India? Christian, would you tell the truth? Christian, would you tell the truth?
Mr. Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari.
I'll be very straight with you. If he's able to do that, I'll give you a scoop which will create ripples there.
We tracked down Sanjay Bhandari. We don't preach journalism. We practice it. The biggest news.
The Chinese economy is not as attractive as it used to be. The American economy is hinged on an overextension. It is fragile, it is overstretched. But if India is to emerge as an alternative, I hate to sound cruel about it, America has to fall. Can America course correct?
Whatever happens to America, the worst affected country will be China.
So they'll fall together.
Serious problems, because the kind of problems that China will face if the export-driven economy receives a setback, I don't think the Chinese system will be able to manage.
The biggest newsmakers.
Your government says bring in the CA, change the legislation. You are saying that Hindus from Bangladesh should come, but they are also foreigners. This changes the full premise of the same students' agitation with which you have been associated yourself.
Hindu doesn't have any address except India. As an Indian, no one can deny the rights of persecuted Hindu to come back to their own motherland. Can Hindu go to Arab? Can Hindu go to Pakistan? Can Hindu go to certain other country? Hindus has to come here.
Threat to the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari. The accused has been identified as J.H. Pujari, one of the inmates of Hindalga jail in Belagavi, and a team of the Nagpur police along with the ATS also visited the Hindalga jail, and it is now being understood that he has been grilled for several hours. The police have found out that one set of the phone numbers belong to businessmen and VVIPs whom J.H. Pujari was going on and targeting and making threat calls from inside the jail.
Maharashtra's district of Gadchiroli, another action between the Maoists and the security forces, effort of CRPF and Maharashtra police, number of Naxals in this area is slowly reducing. Retaliatory action that was taken by the Maharashtra police, there was firing of gunshots by the Maoists also. We do not know about the casualties as such. The operation is going.
No one has questioned Vijay Mallya like Republic.
Mr. Mallya, why are the questions bothering you when I'm not getting a single answer? ED and the CBI charge sheet is very clear. Why is it that the defense witness says that why approach the IDBI question? Why is there this trying to evasion of...
Thanks for staying tuned to Republic. We start with Superfast 50. I'm Samiksha Srivastava. Now, Prime Minister Modi arrived along with BJP National President JP Nadda at the second day of the BJP's National Executive Meet in the national capital. Sources suggest that Bommai likely to lead BJP in Karnataka. Meanwhile, BJP has adopted a socio-economic resolution expressing gratitude to Prime Minister Modi for speedy construction of the Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Meanwhile, the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal attacked Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena for allegedly stalling teachers' training visit to Finland, questioning his right to do so. The AAP has accused the LG of scrapping the Delhi government plan to send primary school teachers to Finland for further training.
अगर मुख्यमंत्री ने और शिक्षा मंत्री ने कह दिया भाई मैं अपने टीचर्स को फिनलैंड ट्रेनिंग कराने जाऊंगा, भेजना चाहता हूं, बस यहाँ खत्म हो जानी चाहिए थी बात। लेकिन यहाँ अजीब जनतंत्र है, सारी फाइलें एलजी साहब के पास जाती हैं, सारी फाइलें एलजी साहब के पास जाती हैं। एलजी साहब ने एक बार नहीं 2 बार ऑब्जेक्शन लगा के फाइल के ऊपर भेजा। अभी बार ऑब्जेक्शन लगाया जाता है। एलजी साहब कह रहे हैं ना कि मैंने तो मना थोड़ी किया। जब 2 बार ऑब्जेक्शन लगाया, अब तीसरी बार भेजेंगे तो फिर ऑब्जेक्शन लगाएंगे, तो इसका मतलब आपकी नीयत खराब है।
Centre has filed an affidavit in the top court in the national capital versus the Centre case, saying that the Chief Minister has power to give performance review. They have further asked why give good grades if officials are not cooperative. Remember earlier, Delhi officials got 9 grading by Chief Minister Kejriwal according to the submissions that were filed by the MHA before the Supreme Court. Massive win for the Modi government as the UK Home Secretary has ordered extradition of fugitive arms dealer Sanjay Bhandari to India. Sanjay Bhandari's extradition has been ordered in a money laundering case being probed by the Enforcement Directorate. Meanwhile, the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has admitted that the country has learnt its lesson after 3 wars with India and even stressed that it wants peace. Shehbaz Sharif, in an interview with media, said, in fact, appeal to Prime Minister Modi, saying that Pakistan wants nothing but peace.
My message to the Indian leadership and Prime Minister Modi is that let's sit down on the table and have serious and sincere talks to resolve our burning issues.
Now, the remarks by the Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has triggered a lot of reactions. Former J&K Deputy Chief Minister and BJP leader Kavinder Gupta has said that India has always called for peace, but Pakistan rulers have always backed terrorism.
शहबाज शरीफ ने एक इंटरव्यू में ये बात कही है कि भारत के साथ जो हमने 3 युद्ध किए हैं उसका नतीजा कुछ नहीं निकला। हम भारत तो पहले से ही ये कहता आया है कि शांति बहाली के लिए काम करना चाहिए, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में जितने हुक्मरान रहे उनके कानों पर जूं तक नहीं रहती थी। आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देना, भारत के खिलाफ भड़काना, कश्मीर को समस्या बना देना, ये जानते हुए कि यहाँ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है। पाकिस्तान में जो इंटरनल आज हालात हैं उससे सबक सीखने की बारी है।
Meanwhile, the National Conference welcomed Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif's statement on peace with India and even urged the Indian government to start talks with Pakistan. Sheikh Bashir, the provincial secretary of the NC, said that appeals must be made.
नॉर्मलाइज करना है तो ये बातों से नहीं होगा, उसके लिए प्रैक्टिकल अप्रोच करनी होगी। और ये खुशाइंद बात है कि अगर उनको ये समझ आ गई है कि जंग से कोई मसला हल नहीं होता है, और मैं अपील करूँगा कि इस चीज़ को नोटिस किया जाए और इसको बातचीत शुरू की जाए।
Meanwhile, the United Nations Security Council has listed Pakistan-based terrorist Abdul Makki as a global terrorist. And this listing, of course, comes after China last year put on India's bid to name the LET leader a global terrorist on hold. No end to civic apathy in Bengaluru, a road that caved in just 2 days after it was repaired. It was repaired after the pipeline work was carried out. The quality of the road work has once again come under lens of the officials. Ahead of the BRS first public meet in Telangana that has been called by Chief Minister KCR, all leaders including Chief Ministers including Arvind Kejriwal, Pinarayi Vijayan and Akhilesh Yadav, the SP chief, will be visiting the famous temple. Meanwhile, the BJP has come down heavily on the BRS party for the meet that's been called. And in more news coming in, this one from Kerala, where the NI crackdown on the PFI continues as the NI teams in Kollam have taken into custody a PFI activist, Mohammad Siddiqui, along with the help of the police. Now, sources suggest that Mohammad Siddiqui had earlier been to PFI meetings and that the NI has also secured some crucial evidence against the accused. A big lead in the Delhi terror plot case, as sources have now informed that the Delhi police is on the lookout for 4 other suspects. They have received weapons from Pakistan via an app, and the suspects also were given the weapons at an unidentified location in Uttarakhand. Meanwhile, cracks have only been widening within the Mahagathbandhan in Bihar as the face-off over Ramcharitmanas has further intensified after the Bihar Education Minister Chandrasekhar tweeted on Ramcharitmanas. The Bihar Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has now said that no one should meddle in anyone's religion.
कि हम लोगों का व्यू है, कोई भी धर्म को मानने वाला हो उसमें किसी भी तरह तक उसमें इंटरफेरेंस नहीं करना चाहिए। वो सब लोग जिस ढंग से भी धर्म का पालन करते हैं, धर्म का पालन करें, सबको इज्जत मिलनी चाहिए। इसमें किसी तरह का हस्तक्षेप नहीं करना चाहिए। जिसको जो अपना मन करे वो करे, वही पूजा करे, लेकिन इन सब चीज़ों पर कोई चीज़ नहीं करना चाहिए। हमने तो पहले ही समझा दिया, तो अभी तो डिप्टी सीएम ने भी कह दिया, इसलिए वो सब कोई बात।
Meanwhile, the BJP won Chandigarh mayor elections by getting a total of 15 votes, while the AAP received only 14 votes. BJP's Anup Gupta will become the new mayor of Chandigarh. Now, 2 terrorists were neutralized after an encounter broke out between the security personnel and the terrorists in J&K's Badgam district. The encounter happened near the district court complex in Badgam town. The police and the army have now cordoned off the area in Badgam. Well, to another news break coming in, this one from Melbourne, where yet another hate attack has happened on a temple merely 5 days after another hate attack was reported from Melbourne. Now, the Indian-Australian community has once again been left in shock with one of the most iconic Hindu temples outside, in Melbourne, that was vandalized. They were anti-Hindu graffiti that were put on the walls of this temple. It is one of the most iconic Hindu temples that was attacked in Melbourne. We have Sandeep Fogart joining us live from Melbourne. Sandeep, if you can take us through the latest that you're picking up. Of course, this incident that has sparked concerns among the Hindu community of Melbourne.
Thank you, Samiksha. As you know, recently there was another Hindu temple was attacked in north side, Mill Park. Now another Hindu temple in southeastern suburb. this is a very big temple, and this has been vandalized, as you can see. So the hate speech slogans have been written. So very, if I show you this, so 26 Jan, Delhi the day, and on the other side, they have written target Modi. So they are saying that 26th of January, they're going to do something in India and they're going to attack Modi. And on the other side, they have written Khalistan Zindabad, like they have written in the on the other temple as well. So now Hindu community, some people, I try to talk to them again here as well, and they are in fear. They don't want to talk. They don't want to come to the camera. But this repetitive incident, I think police is taking this seriously now because it happened second time. I was talking to one of the pujari inside the priest, and he said that they have a lot of footage from the other, as you can see there as well. So they will catch these people and action will be taken.
Yes, also
Samiksha,
if you can take us through, the reactions that have come in from the Hindu community as well on this incident, because we understand a lot of Hindu community leaders have come out saying that how such incidents have now become common in Melbourne, given the fact that this comes just 5 days after another incident was reported where this temple was vandalized in Melbourne.
Yes, definitely. Everybody condemned this act, and they are saying that these people don't have guts to go to the Australian Parliament and do something similar to this there. They're only attacking Hindus' temple because they know that Hindus are always taken for granted. But Hindus community at this stage, they are very angry and they want to have some solution. That's why they're seeing the police and asking police to, resolve this matter as soon as possible. But if I take you again to this, very similar slogans targeting Modi Murdabad. There was another one written, and they try to clean it up, but it hasn't been clean. But as you know, these Khalistani people, they have support from ISI and some Pakistani groups as well. And so police is looking into it, and hopefully they will be arresting those people soon.
Yes. Also, anything known so far about this first incident, which was reported on 13th of January on this another temple that was attacked? Anything known about who could be behind this attack? Because like you're telling us and showing us that hate graffiti as well, where we understand that there could be a Khalistani element involved. Anything known so far about this first incident on who could be behind this temple attack, which happened on 13th of January?
So police haven't revealed anything yet. They're saying that the investigation is still going on. So they're looking into this matter and they're trying to connect some links because when that happened in Mill Park, I mentioned that there are some people who had connection with the government here in Victoria. So that was also published and I took it through that. But now they're trying to find those links that who are supporting these people. Definitely the first agenda is to catch these people and make sure that they don't hurt anyone. Because the main concern for the police at the moment is they don't take any action and they don't hurt any Hindu, because kind of these messages, they are really threatening as well. As you have seen, the Bindrewala, the Indian terrorist, what do we call? They were supporting him and they were saying that these people, that Hindu killed a lot of Sikh. They're trying to, instigate those Sikh who don't want to be part of these kind of activities, like they distributing the T-shirts and other stuff. So we just want what we want here is to peace, and we don't want these people to these kind of activities. A lot of people visit here on daily basis, weekly basis, and they come with the families as well. So. Police, they haven't said anything yet, but they say that the investigation is still going on and we're waiting for police to, come up with some solution.
Well, absolutely. Stay with us. And, while we still await that statement from the police official as to who could be behind this, if you can talk a little more about, the rising instances of Khalistani elements who seem to be very active in Australia these days.
In Australia, I think we saw the first incident when it was reported by One India that they were distributing some T-shirts, they were distributing some flags outside of some gurdwaras. So that started from there. Obviously, it started from United States, then it went to Canada, then UK, and then recently these activities we have seen in Australia. But I haven't heard anything else apart from these two activities. But I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to create fear amongst Hindus. So, or they're trying to instigate Hindus as well. So they come out and they talk these kind of stuff, or they do the similar activities outside of Gurdwara. So they get more pump and they can, spread the hatred towards Hindus. But they don't know that a lot of people, actually, one more incident I just remember. So recently they tried to have a rally in Melbourne, and they were thinking that there will be a lot of people participating. Around 60,000 Melbourne Indian community live, but only 150 or 200 people who were involved in that rally. So that was definitely a failure. Say they're trying everything back in Punjab, but because Indian government they're doing really good job there to stop them. So they're trying in these different countries, and I believe the main motive for them is to get some fund, because people who living here, they're not gonna go back to India and be part of those kind of rallies, but just to get the funding to support this agenda of Khalistani. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Also, for our viewers also who are just tuning in, if you can once again take us through what is known so far when we talk about the incident which happened on January 13, and of course this latest one in which yet another iconic Hindu temple was attacked apparently by the Khalistani elements.
Yeah, so on Milpa north side, so what they did, as you can I can see the photos. So they have written down Modi Murdabad, Khalistan Zindabad, Hindus are the target. And once they are writing down, I don't think these are the people who really come from Sikh community. These are the people who most of them they have funding from ISI. A lot of I have heard that they were trying to be part of these kind of campaigns. I did not hear any news about they hurting anyone yet, but this is the main fear amongst the Hindus who are living around the temple, or they normally visit the temple. In the Mill Park as well, when I tried to talk to some people there, they said the same thing, that they don't want to come to the camera. They say different reasons, but obviously the reasons for they don't want to come to the camera and talk anything, because they have a life threat because of these slogans, and they believe that their life is in danger. So everybody here in Melbourne, they don't want these kind of activities. If they really want that Khalistani agenda, they will go to India and do these kind of activities there. But they're trying to do only here to create some fear, because Indian government, they're not letting them play any of those agenda, or they stopping them to spread these kind of hatred.
Well, absolutely, like you're saying, while this cannot be confirmed at this point whether Khalistan element is involved in this, but definitely an attempt there to disrupt peace and harmony in the area, as yet another temple attack has taken place in Melbourne, exactly 4 or 5 days after another such temple attack was reported from Melbourne. Kejriwal attacks LG over teachers training, says who is LG to sit on the heads of executive. And another diplomatic win for the country as UK government clears Bhandari's extradition.
Threat to the Union Minister Nitin Gadkari, the accused, has been identified as J.S. Pujari, one of the inmates of Hindalga jail in Belagavi, and a team of the Nagpur police along with the ATS also visited the Hindalga jail, and it is now being understood that he has been grilled for several hours. The police have found out that one set of the phone numbers belong to businessmen and VVIPs whom J.S. Pujari was going on and targeting and making threat calls from inside the jail.
Maharashtra's district of Gadchiroli, another action between the Maoists and the security forces, effort of CRPF and Maharashtra police. Number of Naxals in this area is slowly reducing. Retaliatory action that was taken by the Maharashtra police. There was firing of gunshots by the Maoists also. We do not know about the casualties as such. The operation is going.
No one has questioned Vijay Mallya like Republic.
Mr. Mallya, why are the questions bothering you when I'm not getting a single answer? ED and the CBI charge sheet is very clear. Why is it that the defense witness says that these wide approach the IDBI question? Why is there this trying to evasion of the questions that have been put by the CBI and the ED, sir?
No one has exposed Mehul Choksi like Republic. We don't preach journalism. We practice it. Republic is the news.
The biggest news.
So in your view, what was the role of the media at a time when national security can be jeopardized? So do you think there was a section of the narrative, people, media, whatever, wittingly or unwittingly, for example, vis-a-vis Pakistan normalizing terrorism?
I think the real debate with Pakistan is not should you talk to Pakistan or not talk to Pakistan. It is what should you talk to Pakistan about. And there has been clarity in the last 5 years that unless we address the issue of terrorism, cross-border terrorism, talking about anything else doesn't make sense.
The biggest newsmakers.
How's the faster rollout of 5G made possible? Were you working on deadlines?
We have a leadership which believes in performance, which believes in delivery, which believes in making sure that whatever people's aspirations are, those aspirations are met with full vigor, full force, full commitment.
The biggest news.
The Chinese economy is not as attractive as it used to.
The situation is in Punjab is now bullet for bullet between the police as well as between the gangsters, and in fact now the senior Punjab police officers have empowered the cops who are on the operational duties to give the bullet for bullet, and in fact now they have empowered the cops with section 100 of IPC and explaining them how to defend themselves by opening the fire in the exchange of fire. And in fact this happened after Constable Kuldeep Singh was killed in Jalandhar in an exchange of fire with the gangster after a car snatching case. And even now the Punjab police IG rank officers has detailed the entire cops who are on the operational duties that bullet for bullet is the only solution. And in fact just because the certain incidents have been reported in Punjab where exchange of fires injured the cops as well as the gangsters, and in fact now bullet for bullet is the situation is turning up in Punjab.
On second day of BJP's National Executive Meet, party passes resolution thanking Prime Minister for Ram Mandir construction.
Verifiable and irreversible action against terrorism.
All right, so that's the first statement coming in from the MEA. In fact, statement coming in on the big diplomatic win for the country as United Nations Security Council has listed Pak-based terrorist Abdul Makki as a global terrorist. In fact, this of course comes after China last year put on hold India's bid to name the LET handler a global terrorist. So that's the first response coming in from the Ministry of External Affairs. In fact, the move by the United Nations Security Council listing Pakistan-based terrorist Abdul Makki as a global terrorist. We'll just play out that statement by the MEA again. But remember, it's the big diplomatic win for the country because just last year, India's proposal to name the LET leader a global terrorist was put on hold by China. In fact, India had taken strongly to China, opposing the move to block the proposal to list terrorist Abdul Makki under the sanctions committee. And just this year, in fact just the next year, the United Nations Security Council has listed the Pakistan-based terrorist as a global terrorist. We'll just put out that statement again that has come in from Arindam Bakshi on the global terror. On Abdul Makki, who's been designated as a global terrorist by the United Nations. In fact, Arindam Bakshi there mincing no words, stating that India does not support terrorism. We have that reaction, in fact, that statement that has come in from the MEA. Let's just play that out.
Security Council's ISI and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee to list Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abdul Makki, who is also the brother-in-law of LET leader Hafiz Saeed. Makki has occupied various leadership roles in the LET, including raising funds for the organization. Threats from terrorist organizations in the region remain high, and listings and sanctions by the UN Security Council are an effective tool to curb such threats and dismantle terror infrastructure in the region. India remains committed to pursuing a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism and will continue to press the international community to take credible, verifiable and irreversible action against terrorism. Security Council's ISI and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee to list Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abdul Makki, who is also the brother-in-law of LET leader Hafiz Saeed. Makki has occupied various leadership roles in the LET, including raising funds for the organization. Threats from terrorist organizations in the region remain high, and listings and sanctions by the UN Security Council are an effective tool to curb such threats and dismantle terror infrastructure in the region. India remains committed to pursuing a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism and will continue to press the international community to take credible, verifiable and irreversible action against terrorism.
Senior Executive Editor Abhishek Kapoor also joins us for more on that. Abhishek, how do you read into these statements that have come in by the MEA, where they've said that the need of the hour is to dismantle the terror infrastructure?
Well, goes without saying that the step has to be welcomed. Remember, tremendous amount of effort going in by the Government of India, the Ministry of External Affairs, and our diplomats at our mission, permanent mission in New York at the United Nations to really persist and push this after China really tried to obstruct it a couple of times, the last being in June when they put a technical hold which stays only for 6 months, and that's why on the end of that the Chinese had really no option but to pull back, and that's how Abdul Makki gets designated as a UN global terrorist. About 40 plus terrorists based out of Pakistani soil now designated as global terrorists. I was going through the list, almost who's who of Pakistan terror machine now, under scanner around the world with this UN listing. Remember, Abdul Makki, for example, is the proselytizer, recruiter, fundraiser, and someone who was working for political affairs and even foreign relations for Lashkar-e-Taiba. Even the terrorist organizations seemingly have foreign relations, perhaps connecting with terrorist organizations around the world. More importantly, Makki was involved in terror attacks directly from the Red Fort terror attack of December 12, 2000 to the Mumbai terror attacks, and then subsequently most others that have taken place in Jammu and Kashmir. So obviously, India had to really persist for a while, and with this success, the LET would be that much more constrained to raise funds to recruit. But then ultimately, if you counter Makki, you counter Hafiz Saeed, there would be others taking shape, because Pakistan remains a fertile ground for that ideology, unfortunately, Samiksha. But it is definitely a diplomatic success for India to really fend off pressures from the Chinese and convince the global community that even Makki, brother-in-law of Hafiz Saeed, and involved in at least a dozen odd terror attacks in India and exporting terror from Pakistan, not just to India but around the world, had to be designated as a UN global terrorist.
Yes, and Abhishek, that's exactly the point I was coming to. Do you think that there is actually a pressure on China as well at this point, that to not anymore block those terrorists, those terror operatives who are quite active, and Pakistan, of course, that has been backing these terrorists carrying out these attacks?
Well, the Chinese have been shameless, to say the least, Samiksha. They put Abdul Makki's designation on technical hold. They did that with Masood Azhar. They did that with Hafiz Saeed, Salahuddin, everyone. And the reason why they have done is because they think that they are obliging the Pakistanis, who are obviously not going to bend their ways. And remember, the last meeting that took place between the new foreign minister of China and their Pakistani counterpart, they had to really raise the issue of safety of Chinese citizens in Pakistan. So it's not long before this indulgence with terror from Pakistani soil comes to really bite the Chinese from behind. But then we have to wait for that, and it's in the fitness of things that the Chinese really pulled back in this case. They really, of course, had no option, having exhausted all the procedural delays that they could deploy, abusing their veto as members of the UN Security Council. But that's another issue, that reform of the UNSC that's pending. But still, I would say it's a big diplomatic win for our team at the permanent mission of India at the United Nations in New York to be pulling this and getting Makki designated as a global terrorist based out of Pakistan.
All right, Abhishek, we leave it at that. So the MEA there, in its statement, making it clear that it is a strong message of sorts, and that the need of the hour is to dismantle the terror infra. A very short break. Coming up on the other side, we'll get you the latest from the national capital, as it's LG versus the Aam Aadmi Party again. Kejriwal attacks LG over teachers training, says who is LG to sit on the heads of executive.
When timeless European design meets cutting-edge technology, it's QO. QO, European Bath Lounges.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
Maharashtra's district of Gadchiroli, another action between the Maoists and the security forces, effort of CRPF and Maharashtra police. Number of Naxals in this area is slowly reducing. Retaliatory action that was taken by the Maharashtra police. There was firing of gunshots by the Maoists also. We do not know about the casualties as such. The operations is going.
No one has questioned Vijay Mallya like Republic.
Mr. Mallya, why the question is bothering you when I'm not getting a single answer? ED and the CBI charge sheet is very clear. Why is it that the defense witness says that these wide approach the IDBI question? Why is there this trying to evasion of the questions that have been put by the CBI and the ED, sir?
No one has exposed Mehul Choksi like Republic. We don't preach journalism. We practice it. Republic is the news.
The biggest news.
So in your view, what was the role of the media at a time when national security can be jeopardized? So do you think there was a section of the narrative, people, media, whatever, wittingly or unwittingly, for example, vis-a-vis Pakistan normalizing terrorism?
I think the real debate with Pakistan is not should you talk to Pakistan or not talk to Pakistan. It is what should you talk to Pakistan about. And there has been clarity in the last 5 years that unless we address the issue of terrorism, cross-border terrorism, talking about anything else doesn't make sense.
The biggest newsmakers.
How's the faster rollout of 5G made possible? Were you working on deadlines?
We have a leadership which believes in performance, which believes in delivery, which believes in making sure that whatever we have, whatever people's aspirations are.
It's the second day of the BJP's national executive meeting. Party passes a resolution thanking the Prime Minister for the Ram Mandir construction. The Prime Minister expected to speak very soon. Big scoop from the BJP meeting, Basavaraj Bommai to be leading the BJP's campaign in the state of Karnataka.
ये मैंने पूछा एलजी साहब से, मैंने कहा सर आप कौन है, मेरे को तो जनता ने चुन के भेजा। कहते मेरे को प्रेसिडेंट ने भेजा।
Arvind Kejriwal attacking the LG over teachers' training. He says, who's the LG to sit on the heads of an elected government? Another diplomatic victory for the Modi government. The UK government now clears the extradition of Sanjay Bhandari. Hafiz Saeed's brother-in-law is now a globally designated terrorist by the United Nations. And the Pakistani Prime Minister making a big admission. He says, quote-unquote, learnt a lesson after 3 wars with India. A very good afternoon and thank you for staying with us on Republic. I'm Deepthi Sachdeva. We begin this edition of the news with our spotlight on a significant diplomatic victory for India. The United Nations Security Council on Monday has listed the Pakistan-based terrorist Abdul Makki as a global terrorist. This is under the ISIL and the Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee. This is coming after China last year, remember, had put a hold on India's bid to name the Lashkar-e-Taiba leader a global terrorist. Then in the June of 2022, India went ahead to slam China after it blocked the proposal to list Makki under the Sanctions Committee, that's also known as the UNSC 1267 Committee. India now has responded to that listing. And do remember, Makki is the brother-in-law of the globally designated terrorist Hafiz Saeed.
Of the UN Security Council's ISI and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee to list Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abdul Makki, who is also the brother-in-law of LET leader Hafiz Saeed. Makki has occupied various leadership roles in the LET, including raising funds for the organization. Threats from terrorist organizations in the region remain high, and listings and sanctions by the UN Security Council are an decision of the UN Security Council's ISI and Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee to list Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorist Abdul Makki, who is also the brother-in-law of LET leader Hafiz Saeed. Makki has occupied various leadership roles in the LET, including raising funds for the organization. Threats from terrorist organizations in the region remain high, and listings and sanctions by the UN Security Council are an effective tool to curb such threats and dismantle terror infrastructure in the region. India remains committed to pursuing a zero-tolerance approach to terrorism and will continue to press the international community to take credible, verifiable, and irreversible action against terrorism.
So you just heard that first comment that's coming in from New Delhi. Let's also break down that story with our colleague Abhishek, who joins us live on the broadcast. You know, Abhishek, how significant is this first up for the world, for India in particular, and also keeping in mind that it was China who had actually had some, objections. They had put the entire proposal on hold, but this time around, China decides to lift those holds.
First of the significance, Deepthi, remember under the Al-Qaeda 1267 Sanctions Committee, as the process is called, of designating individuals and organizations as global terrorists at the United Nations, this designation and this listing comes with certain restrictions. So for example, Abdul Makki's passport becomes useless. He can't get a visa, he can't travel out of Pakistan. He is under increasing watch in terms of whom he's talking to, not talking to, raising funds. All the bank transactions come under scanner, get blocked. Those who are supporting him come under spotlight and focus, and even they can be tracked. And to that extent, it limits his capacity to be the terrorist that he is in terms of facilitating terror operations of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, of which he has been a key person over the last 2 decades and more. Being the brother-in-law of Hafiz Saeed. And the specifics, he was involved in the Red Fort terror attack of December 22, 2000. Subsequently, we have seen his direct or indirect involvement in at least a dozen odd terror cases, including the big one, the Mumbai terror attacks, 26/11, and then rest of them in Jammu and Kashmir, and even one in Ayodhya, I believe, where Lashkar operatives were involved, or Varanasi perhaps. The listing helps India clamp down on terror machine and the world. clamp down on terror machine based out of Pakistan to that extent. That's the significance. Now, so far as your question on China is concerned, there is this provision of putting a technical hold just so that if some member state has a doubt, they can review, do their own checks and come back. But obviously, that was only a subterfuge, and China was essentially obliging Pakistan, its all-weather friend, against India, and of course, poking a finger in the eye of India as well. They cannot do beyond that, and whatever options they could, they have exercised. And now that that period of technical hold, which is for 6 months, was over, they had done that in June 2022. The designation was, of course, the fait to comply. But this really speaks volumes about the double standards, double speak, and absolute brazenness, even shamelessness on the part of the Chinese, that they should be doing this against the will and thoughts of the global community. They're willing to really stand isolated, and to be seen publicly with Pakistan speaks volumes of the foreign policy stance, or the lone warrior diplomacy, as they call it, caring two hoots about world opinion. Obviously, the world would get back to the Chinese as well at some stage. But as of now, of course, the focus entirely on the diplomatic victory that we have scooped with Abdul Makki getting designated as a global terrorist at the United Nations under the UNSC 1267 Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee.
Absolutely, Abhishek, a significant story, and I thank you for helping us understand the nuances. And clearly, there is also, ladies and gentlemen, a message that's coming in from Beijing to the deep state, to Pakistan also, as China is also falling in line. China has buckled under the tremendous amount of pressure that has been executed by India. And this, like Abhishek also said, is a huge diplomatic victory for India. But like we say, it's just half the job done, because you still have, terror, Abhishek, with its tentacles deeply entrenched into Pakistan, something again that has to be dismembered as soon as possible. But we at Republic will keep our focus on that big story. Abhishek, for the moment, thank you so much for getting us that perspective. Let's move on now to more news that's coming.
Two terrorists, local terrorists, have been neutralized by Budgam police along with Indian Army here in Budgam of Central Kashmir. It was a chance encounter. As per the Kashmir police zone, the terrorists were traveling in a vehicle. The vehicle was asked to stop. They fired upon the security forces, triggering a chance encounter. Two dead bodies along with arms and ammunition have been recovered. There are other reports that suggest that these are the same terrorists who managed their escape from Red Book operation on Sunday, and since then the police had ordered an alert, and many people were questioned, and also the people were being frisked ahead of Republic Day. The Kashmir is on alert. This is the first encounter of 2023 where two terrorists, as per the reports of the LET, have been neutralized here in Budgam of Central Kashmir. With Vijay Mubashir Hussain, I'm Zina Zishan Fazil for Republic in Budgam.
We are into a break right now. On the other side, it's the second big day of the BJP's National Executive Meeting, where the party already has passed a resolution thanking the Prime Minister for the construction of the Ram Mandir. Also, another diplomatic victory for the Modi government. The UK government has cleared the extradition of the arms dealer Sanjay Bhandari.
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 10 years, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
When timeless European design meets cutting-edge technology, it's QO. QO, European Bath Lounges.
No one has questioned Vijay Mallya like Republic.
Mr. Mallya, why are the questions bothering you when I'm not getting a single answer? ED and the CBI charge sheet is very clear. Why is it that the defense witness says that these wide approach the IDBI question? Why is there this trying to evasion of the questions that have been put by the CBI and the ED, sir?
No one has exposed Mehul Choksi like Republic. We don't preach journalism. We practice it. Republic is the news.
The biggest news.
So in your view, what was the role of the media at a time when national security can be jeopardized? So do you think there was a section of the narrative, people, media, whatever, wittingly or unwittingly, for example, vis-a-vis Pakistan normalizing terrorism?
I think the real debate with Pakistan is not should you talk to Pakistan or not talk to Pakistan. It is what should you talk to Pakistan about. And there has been clarity in the last 5 years that unless we address the issue of terrorism, cross-border terrorism, talking about anything else doesn't make sense.
The biggest newsmakers.
How's the faster rollout of 5G made possible? Were you working on deadlines?
We have a leadership which believes in performance, which believes in delivery, which believes in making sure that whatever people's aspirations are, those aspirations are met with full.
Pole has been tilted and it is yet to be removed by the civic authorities because the platform installed these street lamps and the BBMP is responsible for maintaining it. This particular electric pole has continued to tilt now and it is tilting at a very precarious position, and these are live electric wires which could go on and risk the lives of the motorists who are travelling on this particular road.
Welcome back. We are getting you this very, very dramatic video of almost a hit and run that's coming in from Bengaluru, where you have a bike that enters from the wrong side, and in fact you will see that image just on your screens in a bit. Then it goes on to crash into a Tata Sumo, after which the driver of the Tata Sumo questions this two-wheeler rider as to why he's coming in from the wrong side. The motorist then tries to escape from the driver and he literally flees from the spot. Not before this man is dragged on the bike. Very, very dramatic and chilling images that we are seeing on our screens. Prajwal is with us. Prajwal, why don't you take us through what really happened? Has this man been booked?
Deepthi, even as we are speaking, we are seeing that the police are towing away this vehicle bearing the registration number KA05 KU0833. So the accused has already been identified as Yasin, and this vehicle also belongs to him, and it was registered in 2019 under Bengaluru South RTO, and right now we are here at Govindraj Nagar Assembly Constituency, and this is quite a busy road as well. And meanwhile, Deepthi, let's focus on the road as well. We can see the victim's shoes over here. The Tata Sumo driver who was dragged for over 1 to 1.5 kilometer is what we get to understand. And this entire road is pothole ridden, and the cops are taking away the vehicle. But even if you need to just take a look at how this entire scenario, how this entire spot looks like. This is the busy Magdi road. From Rajaji Nagar, leading from Rajaji Nagar, moving towards Vijay Nagar. And this is quite shocking because we get to understand that he was a Tata Sumo driver, and this particular two-wheeler had entered from the wrong spot and had gone on to smash into a smash into a vehicle, a car. And when the driver questioned him, he tried to evade the driver, and the driver has caught him even while the two-wheeler driver tried to flee from the spot. At this point of time, we are seeing that from over 100 to 150 meters, he's been dragged over here. So this is absolutely brutal, and also the condition of the road clearly points out to the fact that there are potholes in this road as well, and the residents are absolutely angry with the fact that there has been no sort of action that has been taken by the authorities despite the repeated complaints. And the potholes were also one of the reasons for the accident, as the two-wheeler driver lost complete control of the vehicle. Deepthi.
You know, it's so very disturbing, Prajwal, to see this entire video, that Republic has been able to access, where the biker tries to flee the scene, then after the biker rams into the sumo. But these are very, very chilling visuals. We do know right now that man that you see there encircled, being dragged by that bike right now, has been admitted to a local hospital. A shocking road rage horror that's been reported from Bengaluru. We'll track that story closely. For the moment, thank you.
Let's also get you more details of other stories we are tracking. Massive victory for the Modi government as the UK Home Secretary has ordered the extradition of the fugitive arms dealer Sanjay Bhandari to India. His extradition has been ordered in a money laundering case that's being probed by the ED. The Prime Minister arrived earlier along with the BJP National President JP Nadda. This is the second day of the BJP's National Executive Meet in the capital. Sources say the BJP's socio-economic resolution expressed gratitude to the Prime Minister for speedy construction of the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. The Pakistani Prime Minister has admitted that the country has learnt its lessons after 3 wars with India. He's also stressed that it wants peace. In an interview to a private channel, he is also begging for talks with India.
My message to the Indian leadership and Prime Minister Modi is that let's sit down on the table and have serious and sincere talks to resolve our burning issues.
The remark by the Pakistani Prime Minister has triggered a host of reactions. The former Jammu and Kashmir Deputy Chief Minister, BJP's Kavinder Gupta, has said that India has always wanted peace with Pakistan, but Pakistan continues to back terror.
पाकिस्तान के प्रधानमंत्री शहबाज शरीफ ने एक इंटरव्यू में ये बात कही है कि भारत के साथ जो हमने 3 युद्ध किए हैं उसका नतीजा कुछ नहीं निकला। हम भारत तो पहले से ही ये कहता आया है कि शांति बहाली के लिए काम करना चाहिए, लेकिन पाकिस्तान में जितने हुक्मरान रहे उनके कानों पर जूं तक नहीं रहती थी। आतंकवाद को बढ़ावा देना, भारत के खिलाफ भड़काना, कश्मीर को समस्या बना देना, तो ये जानते हुए कि यहाँ कुछ नहीं होने वाला है। पाकिस्तान में जो इंटरनल आज हालात हैं उससे सबक सीखने की बारी है।
The National Conference, on the other end, has welcomed the Pakistani Prime Minister's statement on peace with India and urged the Indian government to start talks with Pakistan, and also saying that appeals must be made for peace with India.
दलों में शायद सबसे ज्यादा लोकतांत्रिक तरीके से चलने वाला दल अगर कोई है तो ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी है। जनसंघ की स्थापना से लेकर आज तक भारतीय जनता पार्टी में हमेशा बूथ से लेकर राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष तक के हमारे चुनाव समय समय पर हमारे संविधान के अनुकूल होते रहे हैं और पूरी लोकतांत्रिक पद्धति से चुनाव के अधिकारियों की नियुक्ति होती है, मतदाता सूची बनती है और फिर चुनाव का शुरुआत होता है। बूथ के बाद मंडल का, मंडल के बाद जिले का, जिले के बाद प्रदेश का और प्रदेश के बाद राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी का चुनाव और कार्य समिति का चुनाव होता है। परंतु ये वर्ष सदस्यता अभियान का भी वर्ष है और हर साल हम चुनाव के पहले नई सदस्यता करते हैं। हमारी सदस्यता कार्यकाल 6 साल का होता है। 6 साल जब समाप्त होते हैं तब पूरी सदस्यता नए सिरे से होती है और जब 6 साल नहीं होते हैं तब इसमें सदस्यों की बढ़ोतरी के साथ बूथ को, मंडल को और जिले को वैधानिक मान्यता मिलती है। कोविड की महामारी के कारण ये सदस्यता का हमारा अभियान समय पर हो नहीं पाया और जब सदस्यता नहीं होती है, बूथ से राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष तक के बाकी के चुनाव नहीं होते हैं, तब राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष चुनना संवैधानिक रूप से संभव ही नहीं है। कई बार भूतकाल में भी इस प्रकार के अलग अलग मौकों के कारण राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष के कार्यकाल को एक्सटेंशन दिया गया। इसी परंपरा का अनुसरण करते हुए श्री जगत प्रकाश नड्डा जी को राष्ट्रीय कार्यकारिणी ने आज सर्वानुमत प्रस्ताव किया है। श्री राजनाथ सिंह जी ने इस प्रस्ताव को रखा और सभी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के सदस्यों ने इसको हर्ष ध्वनि के साथ सर्वानुमत से स्वीकार किया है कि जगत प्रकाश नड्डा जी को जून 2024 तक भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अध्यक्ष के रूप में इनके कार्यकाल को बढ़ोतरी की जाए। नड्डा जी 20 जनवरी 2020 को राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष बने। अध्यक्ष बनने के बाद इस सदी की सबसे बड़ी महामारी, वैसे देखें तो 20वीं सदी की भी सबसे बड़ी महामारी कोविड का सामना पूरे देश को करना पड़ा। क्योंकि देश की कई राज्य सरकारें और केंद्र में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार होने के कारण स्वाभाविक रूप से इस महामारी का सामना करने में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के संगठन की भूमिका बहुत अहम हो जाती है। नड्डा जी के नेतृत्व में भारतीय जनता पार्टी का पूरा संगठन बूथ से लेकर राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर सेवा ही संगठन है, इस मंत्र के साथ काम में जुटा। ढेर सारे गांवों में चाहे गरीबों के घर पे मदद पहुंचानी हो, अन्न पहुंचाना हो, जिनके कोविड के लक्षण देखे गए उनको टेस्ट के लिए अस्पताल ले जाना हो, जिनका कोई नहीं था उनकी शुश्रूषा से लेकर अंतिम संस्कार तक सारे कोविड की महामारी की गतिरोध को पार करने में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के कार्यकर्ताओं ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई और नड्डा जी ने उस कठिन काल के अंदर एक वाइब्रेंसी के साथ संगठन को सेवा के काम में जोड़ा। और मैं तो आप सबको आग्रह करता हूं कि हमारा जो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन है सेवा ही संगठन है, इस सूत्र का, उसको आप जरूर देखें। तो आश्चर्यजनक तरीके से एक राजनीतिक दल का संगठन किस प्रकार से महामारी में सेवा कर सकता है, उसका ज्वलंत उदाहरण भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने नड्डा जी के अध्यक्षता में देश के सामने रखा, दुनिया के सामने भी रखा। उनकी राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्षता में ही हमने बिहार में सबसे ज्यादा स्ट्राइक रेट प्राप्त किया। महाराष्ट्र में भी एनडीए को गिन लें तो हम फिर से चुन कर आए। हरियाणा में भी हमारी सरकार बनी। इसके बाद उत्तर प्रदेश, उत्तराखंड, मणिपुर, आसाम, गुजरात, इस सब जगह भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने एक बहुत बड़ी सफलता हासिल की है। बंगाल के अंदर भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने 3 सीट से 77 सीट का बहुत बड़ा फासला एक ही 5 साल में तय किया और हम तमिलनाडु और दक्षिण के राज्यों में भी, तेलंगाना में भी एक ताकत बनकर धीरे धीरे सैन्य उभर कर आ रहे हैं। उत्तर पूर्व के सभी राज्यों में हमारी सरकारें तो बनी थी, परंतु संगठन का विस्तार बाकी था। नड्डा जी की अध्यक्षता में हमने उत्तर पूर्व के नॉर्थ ईस्ट के सभी राज्यों में संगठन को नीचे पहुंचाने में हमने बहुत बड़ी सफलता प्राप्त की है। गोवा में भी हम हैट्रिक लगाकर तीसरी बार और पहली बार पूर्ण बहुमत की सरकार बनाने में हम सफल हुए। जैसा आप सब जानते हैं, गुजरात के अंदर 156 सीटों के साथ गुजरात ने चुनाव के सभी रिकॉर्ड तोड़ते हुए 53% मत और 156 सीटों के साथ हमने प्रचंड विजय हासिल किया। मोदी जी का जो करिश्माई नेतृत्व है, जो लोकप्रियता है, वो लोकप्रियता को मत में परिवर्तित करने में और मत को मतदान मथक तक पहुंचाने में नड्डा जी का नेतृत्व में संगठन का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। मोदी जी की लोकप्रियता को पूरे देश भर के अंदर इसको आधार बनाकर भारतीय जनता पार्टी के काम को विस्तार करने में भी उनका बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है। सरकार की योजनाओं और सरकार के कार्यक्रम और विशेषकर किसान कल्याण के कार्यक्रमों को हर किसान तक, हर जन जन तक पहुंचाने में श्री नड्डा जी ने बहुत महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका निभाई है। उनके कार्यकाल में 120 से ज़्यादा विधानसभाओं के चुनाव हुए हैं। इसमें से 73 विधानसभा के चुनाव में भारतीय जनता पार्टी की जीत हुई है। तेलंगाना, बंगाल में एक शानदार माहौल खड़ा करने में भी हमें बहुत सफलता प्राप्त हुई है। जम्मू कश्मीर में बीडीसी के इलेक्शन हो या देश भर में हुए स्थानीय इकाई के चुनाव हो, सब में भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने यश प्राप्त किया है। उनके नेतृत्व में बूथ सशक्तिकरण अभियान के तहत 1,30,000 बूथों को मजबूत करने का भी काम किया गया। लोकसभा प्रवास योजना बनाकर हर कार्यकर्ता को लोकसभा प्रवास योजना के अंदर जोड़ा। हर घर तिरंगा को भारतीय जनता पार्टी के हर कार्यकर्ता ने जन जन तक पहुंचाने के साथ ही राष्ट्रभक्ति को और तिरंगा के सम्मान को हर जन के मन में पुनः जागृत करने में बहुत बड़ी भूमिका निभाई है। सेवा ही संगठन और मोदी जी के जन्मदिन को जोड़कर सेवा का पखवाड़ा, ये दोनों कार्यक्रम, सेवा ही संगठन ये कोविड के वक्त कार्यक्रम लिया गया और सेवा पखवाड़ा निरंतर भारतीय जनता पार्टी मनाती है, उनको नीचे तक पहुंचाने में बहुत बड़ी कामयाबी नड्डा जी के नेतृत्व में हुई है। मन की बात को भी जन का कार्यक्रम बनाने में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के संगठन ने बूथ स्तर पर मन की बात को सुनने का जो कार्यक्रम बनाया, इसको हम नीचे ले गए हैं और देश भर में एक विजय संकल्प सभाएं और अपना बूथ सबसे मजबूत, ये दो अभियान हमेशा के लिए भारतीय जनता पार्टी के इतिहास में नड्डा जी की भारतीय जनता पार्टी को देन के रूप में जाने जाएंगे। मुझे विश्वास है कि मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में, नड्डा जी के संगठनात्मक नेतृत्व में 19 से भी ज्यादा बड़े बहुमत के साथ भारतीय जनता पार्टी चुन कर आएगी और मोदी जी फिर से इस देश के प्रधानमंत्री